Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
हरे कृष्णा माता जी धन्यवाद प्रणाम हरे कृष्णा जी तीरथ प्रणाम लभिष्यन्ति
Jai, Jai.
हरे कृष्णा
Okay, so let's start with the Mangla Charan. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगन रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सगन ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे Okay, so I think we have to start from the 24th verse. Is that right? So let me share my screen. Yeah. So let's start. Avyaktam vyaktimapanam manyate mama buddhayah param bhavam ajananto mama vyayam anuttamam. Somebody please read the translation.
Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme.
Okay, so now this is another class of men who surrender to Krishna. We heard about four who surrender, right? Those four people who surrender. And then we heard about demigod worshippers about whom Krishna says that they do surrender but don't surrender unto me. They surrender to some other authority. And now here are these people who surrender to Krishna but improperly. This is the fifth class of men surrendering to Krishna improperly. So these are impersonalists. These are the people who think that Krishna essentially is impersonal and he sometimes assumes this property, but his actual possession is that of an impersonal God. Okay, so this is improper surrender. So let's just read Prabhupada's purport. Somebody please read the highlighted portion.
Those who are worshippers of demigods have been described as less intelligent persons, and here the impersonalists are similarly described. Lord Krishna, in his personal form, is here speaking before Arjuna, and still, due to ignorance, impersonalists argue that the Supreme Lord ultimately has no form.
Yeah, so Prabhupada is saying that Lord Krishna wants to say that these people are also less intelligent. So the word Krishna actually uses is abuddhaya, less intelligent. For demigod worshippers, he had used the word alpamedhasa. So here he is using the word abuddhaya. These are less intelligent. So basically, if you see, Prabhupada in a lot of places, he clubs impersonalists and Mayavadis because in today's time, it's very difficult to make distinction between the two. But impersonalists are basically of three categories. First one are known as Brahmavadis. They are transcendentalists. They believe in the Brahma Jyoti form of the Lord and they think that's the highest. Yeah, so they are on the right track, but they have not reached the highest conclusion yet. Okay, they believe in God, but they believe that Brahman is the highest conception. So they are not against Krishna. It's just that they have not reached the proper conclusion. Then second category is Mayavadis, who basically reject Krishna, who think that he has just assumed this form, and this form is given by Maya, and once we are also liberated, we'll also become Krishna. So these are the followers of Shankaracharya. These are Shankara followers. So these are the ones Prabhupada normally says that they are offenders. They are offenders. And the third one are mundane impersonalists who do not even follow Shankara. They just say, okay, Krishna doesn't have a form, God doesn't have a form. So they are not either Brahmavadis or Mayavadis. They are, not really followers of any philosophy. So normally we'll see that Prabhupada will club these three together, because in Kali Yuga, especially in today's time, the clear distinction is not there anymore. There are no, like, very few pure Brahmavadis. Most of them are contaminated by Mayavad. So that is why Prabhupada clubs them all together and calls them all Mayavadis in most of the places. Okay. I'm just telling you this because when we read that purport in second chapter, I think it's 2.1 or 2.2, where Prabhupada gives that famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Vadanti Tat Tattva Vidas, where he says, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwaniti Shabdate, that Krishna is known as Brahm, Paramatma, and Bhagwan, where Bhagwan is the highest understanding. And he calls all three of them as transcendentalists. All Brahmavadis, Paramatmavadis, and those who believe in Bhagwan. So, and at many places, then Prabhupada also calls these people as offenders of Krishna. So sometimes you may get confused that they are supposed to be transcendentalists. How are they, how are they offending Krishna? So the reason for that is that Prabhupada clubs impersonalists and Mayavadis together, because pure Brahmavadis are not easy to find in today's time. Most of them are contaminated. Okay. Okay, so let's see what else he says. He says, now somebody can read this portion.
In the Brahmsmrita, it is stated that the personality of Godhead cannot be understood simply by study the Vedant literature. Only by the mercy of Supreme Lord can the personality of Supreme be known. Therefore, in this verse, it is clearly stated that not only are the worshippers of the demigods less intelligent, but those non-devotees who are engaged in Vedant and speculation on Vedic literature without any of true Krishna consciousness are also less intelligent. And for them, it is not possible to understand God's personal nature. Persons who are under the impression that absolute truth is impersonal are described as abuddhya, which means those who do not know the ultimate feature of absolute truth. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that supreme realization begins from the impersonal Brahman and then re-arises to localized supersoul. But the ultimate word in the absolute truth is the personality of Godhead. Modern impersonalists are still less intelligent, for they do not even follow their great predece- predecessors, Shankaracharya, who has specifically stated that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Impersonalists, therefore, not knowing the supreme truth, think Krishna to be only the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, or a prince or a powerful living entity.
Yeah, so Prabhupada is making it very clear here that that Krishna cannot be understood by Vedanta literature. So these impersonalists, their path is what? These are mostly jnanis who follow the Gyan Yoga. Their path is to actually try to understand Krishna through study of Vedanta or through mundane speculation, right? So Prabhupada is saying that such people cannot really understand Krishna, because Krishna can only be known by devotional service. There's no other way to know Krishna. So, and then he says that that not only demigod worshippers are less intelligent, but even impersonalists are considered here by Krishna himself as a buddhaya. That means they don't know the personal absolute feature of the Lord. They don't know that. They think that Brahmajyoti or impersonal feature is all in all. So such people are also called as less intelligent because they don't know who Krishna really is. And then he says he's also talking about those impersonalists who don't even follow Shankara, because if they are true followers of Shankaracharya himself says Bhaj Govindam. So ultimately, if they are true followers of Shankaracharya, they can reach that conclusion that Govind is everything and one has to worship him. But they don't even follow Shankaracharya properly. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. And then he's saying that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says that Avajananti ma mura manushim tanum ashritam, that fools regard me as ordinary person. These fools, they don't understand when I come in my original form, they think I'm an ordinary person. They don't really understand that I am the absolute truth. Okay? So here now Prabhupada in this purport quotes this very famous verse from Bhagavatam, Athapi te deva padambujam dvaya prasad lishanukrita evahi janati tattvam bhagwan mahimno na chanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. That unless and until one is favored by a slight trace of mercy of the lotus feet of the Lord, he cannot understand the greatness of Krishna. Yeah? So people may go on speculating for lifetimes and study Vedas for lifetimes, but they'll not be able to understand. They have to be favored by the mercy of the lotus feet of Krishna. And who can reach this? Who can actually get this mercy?
Who surrender to Krishna? The
By
one who
surrendering to
surrenders.
Krishna, a devotee, when he surrenders to Krishna, then he gets the mercy of the lotus feet of the Lord. And only that way he can understand. There is no other way to understand. However much time you can go on doing mental speculation, go on studying Vedas, it's not going to be possible. Okay, now somebody can read this portion.
It is accepted that besides the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are demigods who have their different planets, and the Lord also has a planet. As stated in 23rd verse, Devam Dev Yajo Yanti Mad Bhakta Yanti Mam Api. The worshippers of the demigods go to different planets of the demigods, and those who are devotees of Lord Krishna go to the Krishna Lok planet. Although this is clearly stated that the foolish impersonalists still maintain that the Lord is formless and that these forms are impositions. From the study of Bhagavad Gita, does it appear that the demigods and their abodes are impersonal? Clearly, neither the demigods nor Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are impersonal. They are all persons. Lord Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has his own planet, and the demigods have theirs. Therefore, the monastic contention that ultimate truth is formless and that form is imposed does not hold true. It is clearly stated that it is not imposed. From Bhagavad Gita, we can clearly understand that the forms of the demigods and the form of Supreme Lord are simultaneously existing, and that Lord Krishna is a Satsadi Ananda, eternal, blissful knowledge.
Thank you. So we can see now Prabhupada is saying that, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will refer to himself as a person. And he's also talking about his abode. He's also saying that people who worship demigods go to their planets. Now imagine, even after reading all this, somebody says that Krishna is formless. It's like saying that Krishna has a house, but in that house he lives without a form. Can you imagine? Does it make any sense that somebody lives in a house without any form? Why does he need a house if he doesn't have a form? So Prabhupada is saying here that if he has a abode and all the demigods have an abode, and if you are willing to grant that demigods have a form, then why should Krishna not be granted a form too? He is the highest. If his parts and parcels have a form, how can you conclude that he himself doesn't have a form? So Prabhupada is saying that there's so much evidence in Bhagavad Gita that he has a form, but still these foolish impersonalists, they say that Krishna is formless, the absolute truth is formless. So it makes no sense. If one really truly understands Bhagavad Gita, then one would not come to that conclusion. Okay, so let's go to 25. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita muroyam nabijanati loko mamajamavyayam. Please read.
I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and unexhaustible.
Yeah. So he's talking about his internal potency. This is, what is he referring to here? Covering potency is referring to Yogamaya. There is Mahamaya and there is Yogamaya. The internal potency is known as Yogamaya. So we see in Krishna's pastimes that sometimes Yogamaya covers his pure devotees, and sometimes she even covers Krishna. Sometimes she even covers Krishna. But she does it for enhancing the pastimes of the Lord. Like Yashoda Maya, when she saw the whole universe in his mouth, and she became bewildered. Like, what's this? When my child is yawning, I can see the entire universe in his mouth. What's really going on? And she gets bewildered. And when Krishna sees that, she's getting bewildered, and now she's going to start thinking that I am probably the Supreme Lord. So when Krishna starts thinking that, he starts getting a little worried because he wants to taste the rasa of pure love with Yashoda Maya. So immediately Yogamaya covers her. And then she thinks, oh, no, my child is an ordinary child. I don't know what's happening to me. Why am I seeing all this? My child is a regular child. So Yogamaya covering happens when either she covers Krishna or his devotees to enhance his pastimes. Mahamaya, the other side, covers the conditioned souls, due to which they are not able to perceive Krishna. Okay? So now somebody can read.
It may be argued that since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, how can it be said that he is not manifest to everyone? But actually, he was not manifest to everyone when Krishna was present. There were only a few people who could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the assembly of Kurus, when Shishpal spoke against Krishna's being elected president of the assembly, Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the supreme god. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was the supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non devotees and the common man. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, but for his pure devotees, all men consider him to be like themselves. He was manifest only to his devotees as a reservoir of all the pleasure, but to others, to unintelligent devotees, he was covered by his eternal potency.
Thank you. So Krishna is covered by the internal potency, and the conditioned soul is covered by Mahamaya, the external potency. And sometimes Yogamaya covers him so that regular people or conditioned souls cannot really perceive him. So there is a verse even in Isha Upanishad where the devotee prays that, oh Krishna, please remove this effulgence that's covering you because I'm not able to see you. I'm just, I'm paraphrasing. So it's something like this, that I'm not able to see you and I want to take your darshan, but this, you are being covered. You are being covered by this brilliant Brahma Jyoti. Please remove this so I can see you. So Krishna is covered like that from a non-devotee, or even to a devotee. It's not so easy to take his darshan. Till the time Krishna decides to reveal himself, it is not possible to have his darshan. So Prabhupada here is saying that somebody may say that, oh, Krishna, when he was here, then everybody could see. Then how Krishna is saying that I am not manifest to foolish and unintelligent? Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritam. How can he say that? So Prabhupada is explaining that even when Krishna was physically present and carrying out his pastimes, only his pure devotees could understand that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like, for example, he's giving, like in the assembly of Kurus, even before that, when he goes to with a peace proposal in the court of Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan tries to arrest him because he does not realize he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even though Duryodhan is seeing, Kurus are seeing him, they are facing him, but they are not able to see because he is not manifest. Till there is a devotee, only a devotee can see the real form of the absolute truth, others cannot. Prabhupada is quoting this Ishopanishad mantra, which I was referring to. Hiranmaya Patrena, this verse that, "O my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yogamaya. The Brahma Jyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Sachidanand Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge." This is how devotee prays. I'm not able to see you because you are covered and it's so effulgent that I can't really see your form. So please remove it. So somebody can read this portion of this particular purport, the one in green.
Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is this prayer by Brahma: O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastimes in this world. You are always expanding your internal potency, and therefore no one can understand you. Learned scientists and learned scholars can examine the atomic constitution of the material world or even the planets, but still they are unable to calculate your energy and potency, although you are present before them. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is not only unborn, but also avyaya, inexhaustible. His eternal form is bliss and knowledge, and his energies are all inexhaustible.
Thank you. So now this chapter is just after Brahma Vimohan Leela. In the 13th chapter of 10th canto, Brahmaji gets bewildered, and 14th, he is offering his prayers. So he has this realization. He's offering this prayer out of realization that who can really know your potency and pastimes in this world? When Brahmaji can get bewildered, then we can understand. We can understand a person of that caliber and person who's that advanced got bewildered by Krishna's pastimes. So he's saying that nobody can really understand. Nobody can understand you till the time you decide to reveal yourself to someone. So when Krishna says Naham Prakasha Sarvasva, so he's basically saying that nobody can force me to reveal myself to others. I am definitely not revealed to fools and impersonalists. But otherwise also nobody can really force me to reveal myself. I am only revealed by my own desire, my own mercy. There's no other way to see me. Okay? So let's move. Anyone has any questions so far? Okay, good. This is the 26th verse. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu veda na kaschana.
O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything.
Sorry.
I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows.
Okay, does it remind you of something else we have studied before? What is? Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Shubham Prabhu. One second. Shubham Prabhu.
Mataji, where Krishna says that you don't remember your words, but I remember mine and all of your words.
In the 4th chapter. Good. Where Arjun questions that how did you impart this knowledge to Surya Dev? How did you do that? You are just as old as I am. So when you claim that you gave this knowledge first to Surya Dev, how did that happen? And then Krishna says that because I know everything in the past, I know what's happening in the present, and I know what's there to come. And then Prabhupada explains this. And what's the argument Prabhupada gives? Daya, you know the argument that Prabhupada gives?
Individuality is mentioned there.
Individuality, okay.
That was in second chapter, that eternal, there was no time when soul doesn't exist.
No, that is Natva Evaham Jatu Nasam. That's that verse. No. Krishna Priya Mataji?
That was Pranam Mataji. Krishna tells Arjuna that it was not like I was not earlier, and you were also not there earlier. So we were all there in the previous lifetimes, but I remember, but you don't remember.
And why does he remember? What is the reason that Krishna remembers and we don't remember?
Because Krishna is not
of material nature.
Sorry?
He is not affected by the material nature or the three gunas, and we, the Baddha Jeev, we are influenced by the three modes of nature.
Expand. Please expand on this.
His birth and activities are divine?
No. That is true. His birth and the activities are divine, but the reasoning given by Prabhupada there is what? That Krishna does not change his body. Krishna's body is completely spiritual. He does not change his body. Arjun does not remember because he changes his body.
Yes.
Does it ring a bell?
Yes. I have written OB on this.
Very nice. Okay, somebody can read this portion now.
Here the question of personality and impersonality is clearly stated. If Krishna, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, were Maya, material, as the impersonalists consider him to be, then like the living entity, he would change his body and forget everything about his past life. Anyone with a material body cannot remember his past life, nor can he foretell his future life, nor can he predict what will happen in his present life. Therefore, he cannot know the events of past, present, and future. Unless one is liberated from the material contamination, he cannot know past, present, and future. Unlike the ordinary human being, Lord Krishna clearly says that he completely knows what happened in the past, what is happening in the present, and what will happen in the future. In the fourth chapter, we have seen that Lord Krishna remembers instructing Vivaswan, the sun god, millions of years ago. Krishna knows every living entity because he is situated in every living being's heart as the super soul. But despite his presence in every living entity and super soul and his presence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the less intelligent, even if able to realize the impersonal Brahm, cannot realize Sri Krishna as the Supreme Person. Certainly, the transcendental body of Sri Krishna is not perishable. He is just like the sun, and Maya is like a cloud. In the material world, we can see that there is a sun and there are clouds and different stars and planets. The clouds may cover all these in the sky temporarily, but this covering is only apparent to our limited vision. The sun, moon, and stars are not actually covered. Similarly, Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord. By his eternal potency, he is not manifest to the less intelligent class of men. As it is stated in the third verse of this chapter, out of millions and millions of men, some try to become perfect in this human form of life. And out of thousands and thousands of such perfected men, hardly one can understand what Lord Krishna is. Even if one is perfected by realization of impersonal Brahm or localized Paramatma, he cannot possibly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, without being in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you so much. So this is that verse that I was referring to on the first day, that 3 verses in this chapter in which Krishna talks about the rarity of devotional service, that nobody can really know me. So that was the third verse, then the 16th, 19th verse? Yeah, it was the 19th verse and the 26th verse. Here also he says that I know all living entities, but me no one knows. So he's repeating the same thing. And what we discussed at Prabhupada is saying that Krishna doesn't have a material form, therefore he remembers the past, present, and future. And so I actually want to ask, there is a very beautiful analogy about the sun, that a cloud covers, sometimes we see that the sun is not visible. We only see the clouds. So we think that the clouds have covered the sun. Actually, clouds have just covered our vision. And how can we prove that? That the clouds have only covered our vision and not really the sun?
Through sunshine.
But when it's cloudy, there's no sunshine. Then,
Hmm.
there's some brightness, but there's no sunshine. Yes, Shubham Prabhu?
If we go high enough, we can see that the clouds have covered our eyes. The sun
Yeah,
is always there.
especially if you take a flight on a cloudy day and then flight goes high enough and then you can see the sun shining brightly, right? You can see that. So then we can conclude that the cloud is actually just covering our vision. It's not really covering the sun, right? So I have a question here. I want to ask you so that you all of you can start thinking. How, when we have free will, how can Krishna say that I know what will happen in the future? He can know everything that will happen in the future if it's all pre-decided. But we have a free will and we have the independence to take an action. And then he says, I know everything past, present, and future. How do we reconcile this argument?
He knows how we will react.
He knows how we will react. Okay. Daya?
Hare Krishna, because he knows our karmic balance. According to that, he will give sanction or permission.
But will
Maybe.
is ours, no? Desiring is ours. And we have
Then
that free will.
like if we desire something, it has to be fulfilled or not. That depend on our karmic account.
But what's the point of us having a free will if Krishna has already decided, okay, I'm not going to sanction this, I'm going to sanction this? What's the purpose of the free will? You tell somebody, oh, well, you can leave whenever you want to from this house. And then you say, okay, I will decide when you can leave or not leave. What's the purpose of telling that person that you can leave?
There will be some conditions over that.
So what are those conditions?
No idea.
But Prabhuji, you can go ahead.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, in Shlok number 21, the free will is being stated wherein the living entities are subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the free will acts as per the instruction of Krishna only, or they are always subordinate,
What?
so it's being sanctioned.
No, free will cannot act on Krishna's sanction. What's the point of free will? Why call it free will? If Krishna is going to decide what we will choose, then how can we call it free will? It's not really free will then, is it?
Sahi gal hai.
Okay, good. Why, Bhavi?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances.
Please accept mine.
Mataji, as per my understanding, Krishna knows us from many, many lives, millions of lives, and he knows what we can desire, best and worst. So probably that's how he decides, and he has given us free will so that we don't act as robots, and
Okay.
we choose him instead of other things. And when we choose other things apart from him, we suffer, and then gradually we come to him only.
Okay. Shubham Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Just
Hare
like we have an eternal relationship with Lord from time immemorial, and just like a father knows his child what is going to do, and similarly, I think so. Krishna knows ki what's he will do.
Yes, good. So actually, like some of you said, that Krishna is sitting in our heart as Paramatma, and he's been with us ever since we came in this material world, and that may be millions of lifetimes. He exactly knows how we are going to choose and what are we going to choose. So based on that, he can conclude that this will happen in the future. This is what's going to happen in the future. He does not take away our independence, but yet he knows that how we work, how we think and how we work. He knows that. But still the future is not fixed. It's not fixed. Don't think that, oh, Krishna knows the future means I'm on the auto mode. I'll always keep doing this. No, it's not fixed. But he has an idea that this is probably what you're going to do. We can always choose to surprise him. And we can always do something totally different and change the course of our lives. That free will is always there. Jyoti?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
accept my humble
Please
obeisances.
accept mine. Yeah.
Mataji, is there any like scriptural evidences like this? What you just told, like it was like the future were decided like this, and the
I
devotees
don't
were
exactly remember, but I can research it. I don't remember, but I have either read it or heard it. So there has to be scriptural reference. So I don't remember offhand, but I can research it. Okay? Thank you. All right, so let's move on. 27. इच्छाद्वेषसमुत्थेन द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, can I read?
Yeah, please.
O Saken of Bharat, O conqueror of foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate. Purport: the real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord, who is pure knowledge. When one is deluded into separation from this pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by the illusory energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The illusory energy is manifested in the duality of desire and hate. Due to desire and enviousness,
Due to
envies
desire
Krishna.
and hate, the ignorant person wants to become one with the Supreme Lord and envies Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Pure devotees who are not deluded or contaminated by desire can understand Krishna appears by his internal potencies, but those who are deluded by duality and nescience think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is created by material energies. This is their misfortune. Such deluded person is systematically of dishonor and honor, misery and happiness, women and man, good and bad, pleasure and pain, etc. Thinking, this is my wife, this is my house, I am the master of this house, I am the husband of this wife. These are the dualities of delusion. Those who are so deluded by the dualities are completely foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. So here he's talking about all those living entities who are born into delusion and bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. So we read about dualities, bewilderment by dualities, and also read about how Krishna instructs Arjun to rise above the dualities. What are some of these dualities that delude us?
Happiness, sadness, winter, summer.
Yes. Honor, dishonor, honor, happiness, distress, pain, pleasure. So these are the dualities which bewilder
Failure,
a person.
success.
Yes, failure or success. Yes, true. So these are the ones which delude a person and due to which they are not able to understand Krishna. Why? Why? Because dualities arise from the bodily conception. A person who is completely in the bodily conception, who thinks I am this body, these dualities actually arise from bodily conception. And one who is in bodily conception, how can he understand Krishna? He doesn't even understand himself. How can he understand Krishna? He doesn't understand that I am not this body, I am a soul. Right? So, and earlier we read that Jnanis are those who understand that I'm a spirit soul. And Krishna says that that is not complete Jnana. That is not Vigyan. Remember? We read this? So knowing Krishna and serving Krishna is higher than just knowing that I am the spirit. And here this person has not even reached that level to understand that I am the spirit. He is in complete bodily conception. So where is the point of him understanding Krishna? So in a way, Krishna is also implying here that see how rare a jnani is who rises above the dualities of this material world. It's not easy because Krishna uses the word here. He says all living entities are born into delusion. Very few are able to actually escape from that. And that's how rare it is. Next. Yes, Daya.
Mataji, I somewhere in this chapter purport read that whenever a child in the womb, he prays from the God that whenever I'll come out, I'll serve you. And at the time of deliverance, he forgot everything. So my question is, in womb, there's no any influence of material energy.
Actually, Prabhupada is quoting this from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sharnagati prayers. So in Sharnagati prayers, Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about this, that a pious soul, a soul which is pious, and when it's caught in the womb of a mother, because of devotional piety from the last life, because of bhakti sukriti, that soul realizes that, oh no, I've come back in a mother's womb. What have I done? I should have actually achieved success. I should have achieved perfection, but I didn't. I'm such a fool. So such a soul prays that Krishna, I wasted my lifetime last time, but this lifetime, I promise you that I will come out and just worship you. I'll become your devotee. But when a soul gets embodied and comes out, the power of Maya is so strong that the soul becomes covered and not remember. This is actually the reference for what Prabhupada is saying. So there is influence of material energy everywhere in the material world. But because of devotional piety, such a soul realizes that I have gotten caught here and I made a mistake. But we understand sometimes, and yet sometimes we get caught by Maya, do we? Maya is very expert. She exactly knows how to catch whom and where. So it happens. Is that okay?
That it means not all souls in the womb pray for that.
No.
Only the pure one.
Not pure, but who have devotional piety.
Does they remember these things?
No, they don't remember. So they get completely covered when they come out.
Only in the womb they remember.
The womb they remember and they pray, oh no, where have I landed again? And then they come out and the power of Maya is so strong that they get covered. But yet, because they have done devotional service in their past life, Krishna will give them an opportunity to continue their devotional service. And that living entity will have choice to choose devotional service or reject it. Because of past devotional service, he will get an opportunity again. And Krishna will keep providing that opportunity throughout the life. But that free will decide whether we actually end up choosing it or not. It's the same thing. Like you may have certain relatives and you keep going to them, oh, please take on devotional service. And they don't. And you can keep going again and again and again and again. They don't. That free will is always there.
That's a very difficult thing.
Yeah, but if the free will is there, who knows? Jyoti?
Mataji, just what we read, what we understand is revealed by Krishna. If Krishna reveals, then only we understand. So later, when it is mentioned that the intelligence and memory is also Krishna's given by Krishna, so both are different, right? Means how can we
forgetfulness, remembrance and forgetfulness are given by me.
Yes.
It says remembrance and forgetfulness. He doesn't say intelligence and memory. He says remembrance and forgetfulness.
Sorry, Mataji, I just got confused. Yeah. So I mean, both are how Krishna decides how much forgetfulness we need, and how much we need to give to particular person like that.
See, that verse is just is to let us know that what we remember is not out of our own ability. It is something which is Krishna's mercy. It is coming from Krishna. So if we remember all the verses in our Bhakti Shastri, it is not us. It is Krishna's. It is given by Krishna. It's his potency. Similarly, sometimes I'm sure it happens to everybody that you know a certain person very well, and then they come in front of you, and you just can't remember what's their name, and you keep wondering what was this person's name, and Krishna just decides to take away that memory for a little bit, and it will come back later, or sometimes it comes back even then at that point, and then you'll remember, oh, this is that person, right? So it's Krishna's way of telling us that I am the one who actually gives remembrance and forgetfulness. He gives, and forgetfulness actually can be a very good thing also, because we have gone through many traumatic experiences in this life, past life, and past to past life, in all these lifetimes we've been in this material world. If the forgetfulness was not there, there's no way we could enjoy in this lifetime or try to enjoy. Our primary reason for coming in this material world is that we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna. So Krishna wants to facilitate that you wanted to enjoy, okay, I'll take away your memory so that you don't remember that trauma, so you can at least try and enjoy here. So that is also a great benediction.
So intelligence is different component, and
Yes.
remembrance and forgetfulness should not be compared with intelligence. here.
Intelligence is the power of discrimination. It's the purpose of intelligence is to discriminate what is right, what is wrong, should I do this, should I not do this. That's the role of intelligence.
Thank you.
Okay. Shubham Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, we read that Krishna says ki, you don't remember your past lives. But we also see in the discursive sessions, we discuss about this topic of past life experiences. Some people remember their past lives. So how do we understand this?
Yeah. So in most of the cases, people won't remember anything, anything from the past life. In some cases, especially in Discover Yourself sessions, we read and we come to know that who are these people who remember? They are either extremely sinful or they are very attached, materially very attached to their current position. And when they die, they remember. So remembrance is actually it is a curse. You can never be, happy in your present life because that past memory is there. So when you read the accounts of all these people who had past life memories, they can't settle in one family because they keep going back and forth. It's not a very happy situation. So it happens to somebody who's been very sinful or somebody who was very attached, and that's why that facility is given. But it doesn't happen to most of the people. I can say probably like 99% people, it doesn't happen. Very some few people, some percentage, very small percentage. Okay?
Okay, Mataji, thank you.
Okay, so let's go on. Yesham tantgatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandamoha nirmukta bhajante mam drida vrataha. Somebody read, please.
Persons who have acted previously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination.
Okay, so interesting. The statement that people who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So I'm going to ask a question. I'm just thinking, should we read the purport before I ask, or should I ask before we read the purport? Okay, maybe we should read the purport and then I'll ask. Somebody should read that.
Those eligible for elevation to the transcendental position are mentioned in this verse were those who are sinful, aesthetic, foolish, and deceitful, It is very difficult to transcend the duality of desire and hate. Only those who have passed their lives in practicing the regulative principles of religion, who have acted piously, and have conquered sinful reactions can accept devotional service and gradually rise to the pure knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then gradually they can mediate entrance on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the process of being situated on the spiritual platform. This elevation is possible in Krishna consciousness in the association of pure devotees. For in the association of great devotees, one can be delivered from delusion.
Thank you. So here Krishna is saying that those who have acted piously in previous lives. And then we also know that piety is not really a criteria for bhakti. You know, by doing pious deeds, one doesn't really get bhakti. You can get pious credits due to which you can go to heavenly planets, but you don't become a devotee. How do we understand this statement? Vaibhavi?
Hare Krishna Mataji. So, pious activities can help us develop such consciousness. Just in case if a devotee comes in front of us and we can relate to the devotee, and then we can have this desire after listening to that devotee or coming in contact of that devotee. So basically, pious activities help us attract the power of devotees, and then probably that person can end up into devotion.
Thank you. Good. Jyoti?
Mataji, what I understood is bhakti is totally a different form of consciousness. But what happens is, for understanding things, for removing the dualities of our mind, our consciousness should be clear, and that clearing of consciousness comes from pious activities, because the
Okay.
because the
Mataji, one
how
more point.
Hold on. Let her complete.
means
Yeah.
what I understood is, like, if we are doing pious activities and if we know what is right, then we are able to overcome the dualities. And once we are able to come the dualities, we are able to think clearly, and also we can serve
Pious
others.
activities, the pure piety is not really connected to dualities. Pure piety means that a person is doing pious activities, good deeds, to probably get a higher position, to probably go to a heavenly planet. It has no spirituality in it, right? That's what pious activities are normally seen as, right?
Yes, Mataji, but like, if we are doing like good things, it means we are able to discriminate what is right and wrong.
Okay.
And
So
if we are able to discriminate what is right and wrong, and we are not getting attached to things, and we are, if we are
there is attachment, right? There is attachment to enjoying in the heavenly planets. Piety is, why would anybody give, donation, charity? A pious person does it because they want the result. Pious.
that is in karma kanda, but a karma yogi will not do for the results. I mean, if a person is in a karma yoga, means
Where does
if
it say that he is in karma yoga? Do you see it anywhere?
No, I'm just telling, like, everybody does not do pious activities for the results. They may do it for unconditionally also.
Okay.
That is what I understood.
Okay. Vaibhavi wanted to say something else?
Yes, Mataji. So with the help of pious activities, one can be situated into Satogun, and with the help of being situated in Satogun, there are a lot more chances of ending up into devotional services.
Thank you. Daya?
Hare Krishna Mataji, in pious activity, most of the time we think selflessly. So, that can help us. Like in devotional service, a devotee is also selfless. He surrender everything for Krishna and do everything for Krishna.
Nobody is selfless till the time they become a devotee. That selflessness, shown by a pious person they may not be enjoying grossly, but subtle enjoyment is there. Let's see, I'm a nice person. I'm trying to help others. That subtle enjoyment is always there. Nobody can be selfless till the time they come to devotional platform. Yeah, Prabhupada says that very clearly. There's no way, unless and until you become a devotee, you are not truly selfless. Bhavika?
In terms of material, like
Yeah, they are not grossly
things
attached like other people. They don't have gross attachments, but they can very well have subtle attachments.
can be.
Bhavika, yes?
Hare Krishna Mataji. As per my understanding, like pious people are doing good things. The all the credit points goes in their accounts. And as per bhakti, like if we are in Krishna consciousness and in bhakti mark, then we offer all the results to Krishna, and then we completely surrender. This is what I understand as a difference.
That's true. What you're saying is true, but how is Krishna actually, taking piety to engaging in his service with determination? My question is that. Okay, many hands have gone up. Like, you people have different arguments from what we have discussed so far, or are you going to repeat the same thing? If somebody has something different to say, please unmute yourself and say.
Mataji, maybe they have done some which is
Hare Krishna Mataji. It could be Anya Bhilashita Shunyam.
Yeah, that is the definition of pure devotional service.
Hare Krishna Mata Dhanvat
Krishna
Pranam.
says them.
Okay, Ruchita, fine, last. Then we
Hare
need to move
Krishna
on.
Mata Dhanvat Pranam.
Yeah.
Mataji, actually
Hare
there
Krishna.
are three types of karmas: sakam karmas and vikarmas and akarma. Sakam karmas are good deeds, actually pious activities that are done according to the scriptures, but for the self enjoyment. And the vikarmas are against the scriptures.
That's okay. That's okay. You just connect the two for me.
But akarmas are for the Krishna's happiness according to scriptures, but not for our happiness, but for Krishna's happiness. That can be done only with bhakti.
Okay. So Vaibhavi was very close. She almost got the point that actually what happens when people are pious. This is actually told by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary. That when people are pious, then they're less sinful. It's easier for them to take on devotional service. Easier to take on devotional service, and also more goodness. Pious means that person has more goodness, quality of goodness, means that person is less, the illusion is lot less compared to lower modes. That person is less illusioned, it's easier. And also, pious people are those who are givers of charity. They like giving charity. So when devotees approach such people, what happens? They give charity, they give donation, and that has twofold advantage. One is that you have done something directly in the service of Krishna, and then second, you have made a devotee favorable towards you. Devotees keep going back to those persons who give donation. You know that, right? So every time devotees go, they are getting a devotees association. And then they become devotees in that association. So this is what piety does. This is why piety is so important. And that's why Krishna is saying that who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated. How? In the association of pure devotees, are freed from the dualities of delusion. And now we will read the second paragraph because Prabhupada gives this hint in the second paragraph. And that's why I didn't read it earlier. Yeah, somebody read it, please.
It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that if one actually wants to be liberated, he must render service to the devotees. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimukta. One, but one who associates with materialistic people is on the path of leading to the darkest region of the existence. Tom Davram Yoshtam Sangi.
Tabodwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam.
All the devotees of the Lord traverse this earth just recover the conditioned soul from their delusion. The impersonalists do not know that forgetting their constitutional position as subordinate to the Supreme Lord is the greatest violence of the God's law. Unless one is reinstated in his own constitutional position, it is not possible to understand the Supreme Personality or to be fully engaged in his transcendental loving service with determination.
Prabhupada in this purport actually gives this hint that by the association, by rendering service to a devotee, what happens? One becomes liberated. That is the way. And piety attracts the mercy of a devotee. If piety attracts a devotee to go there and also give his association to such a person. Okay? So Jyoti, your hand is up. Is it from the previous time or
Yes, sorry, Mataji, I didn't lower it.
No problem. Shubham, Prabhu?
Mataji, it is written here that whose sinful actions are completely eradicated. But we see that every second we are committing sins because there are a lot of bacteria in the air and we're breathing in, breathing out. So how do you understand this?
Completely. See, there are certain sinful actions which we have no control over. And there are deliberate sinful actions. So when you come into bhakti, the deliberate sinful actions they start going down, and at one point they become zero. That you deliberately don't commit any sinful reactions. So those are the sinful reactions. There are some which you have no control over. You're walking, there may be tiny, living entities on the road. You have no control over that. And that is why with bhakti, even, Krishna just gives the facility that by doing bhakti, those sins are eradicated because those are not committed knowingly. Those are not committed knowingly. They just go away. There is certain sin associated with it, but that sinful reaction is not very heavy because that's not done knowingly. Yeah. 29. Jaramaran mokshaya mamashrita yatantiye te brahma tad vidu kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam. So these are now we have reached the last two shlokas of this chapter. So we'll see that the pattern that Krishna follows, or actually Krishna did not speak Bhagavad Gita chapter by chapter, but Vyasadeva, when he made these sections, the way he does it is that when Krishna starts speaking about some topic which he's going to cover next, that's the end of that particular chapter. So now he's talking about things that he's going to talk about in the 8th chapter. So he's already started, and you'll see this pattern throughout Bhagavad Gita. Like 6th chapter, the end shloka was Yoginam api sarvesham. And the 7th chapter, he starts with that how to come to that platform of becoming, dear to me, or becoming like a pure devotee. How can you come to that level? And similarly, now in the end of 7th chapter, he's going to talk about certain things that he's going to cover in the 8th chapter. So this is that verse, 29th verse. So somebody can read the translation and the purport, please.
Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman, because they internally know everything.
Entirely. They entirely know everything.
Entirely know.
Somebody can read the purport.
Birth, death, old age, and disease affects this material body, but not the spiritual body. There is no birth, death, old age, and disease for the spiritual body. So one who attains a spiritual body becomes one of the associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engages in the eternal devotional service is really liberated. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit. It is said that one should understand that he is Brahm, spirit soul. This Brahm conception of life is also in devotional service, as described in this verse. The pure devotees are transcendentally situated on the Brahma platform, and they know everything about the transcendental activities. Four kinds of four kinds of impure devotees who engage themselves in the transcendental service of the Lord achieve their respective goals, and by the grace of the Supreme Lord, when they are fully Krishna conscious, they actually enjoy spiritual association with the Supreme Lord. But those who are worshippers of demigods never reach the Supreme Lord in his supreme planet. Even the less intelligent, Brahm realized persons cannot reach the supreme planet of Krishna, known as Golok Vrindavan. Only persons who perform activities in Krishna consciousness are actually entitled to be called Brahma, because they are actually endeavoring to reach Krishna planet. Such persons have no misgiving about Krishna, and thus they are fully factually Brahma. Those who engaged in worshipping the form or archa of the Lord, or who are engaged in meditations on the Lord simply for liberation from material bondage, also know by grace of the Lord the purports of Brahma.
Thank you. So in this verse, Krishna is talking about the fourth kind of Sakam devotee. He talked about three kinds of Sakam devotee earlier. This is the fourth kind of Sakam devotee who's performing mixed devotional service with a desire for liberation. This person actually takes shelter because he has a desire for liberation. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this chapter defines six kind of people who come to Krishna. Six. One is a pure devotee who he describes in 7.1. Then he describes four others, right? Artharthi, Jigyasu, and Jnani. Four others. And this one who desires liberation. These are the six people who come to Krishna. So he's going to talk more about this, and he says that actually a person who has reached liberation, that means what? He has transcended the modes. He has transcended the modes, and he can say that, he says that I am Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, I am the spirit soul. How can you transcend modes? When you understand that you are the spirit soul, you're not in the bodily conception of life. So such a person actually comes to the platform of Brahma. And then Prabhupada is saying that actually the pure devotees are already on Brahma platform. They don't even have to endeavor for anything. They are already in the Brahma platform because they know everything about Krishna. They know everything about themselves, that we are part and parcel of Krishna and we are supposed to serve him. Okay. Last verse. Vaibhavi, you want?
Mataji, I have a question here. Actually, I'm not understanding this term basically. Aham Brahmasmi. So basically, we are talking about those who are transcendently situated. They can call
who are
themselves
above the modes. Who are above the modes. So it could be an impersonalist or it could be a pure devotee.
Impersonalists can call themselves Aham Brahmasmi?
Because they are reached Brahma platform, no? Their goal is Brahma platform. Their goal is reaching Brahma Jyoti. So they can also understand I'm spirit soul, so they can say Aham Brahmasmi, I'm the spirit soul. But Prabhupada is also saying that the pure devotees automatically achieve this. Because yeah, go.
And there are very less chances to find such liberated people in today's era, because nowadays every second person calls them Aham Brahmasmi.
Really? Okay. Yeah. They don't really understand what Brahma means. Brahma means out of the influence of three modes. It's not a joke. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
30. Text 30. Sadhibhutadhi daivam mam sadhiyagyam chaye vidhu prayanakale picha mam te viduryakta yukta saha.
Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material material manifestation of the demigods and of all the methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the persons acting in Krishna consciousness are never deviated from the path of.
Just hold on, please. So we see the words used by Krishna here are Adhibhut, Adhidaivam, Adhiyagyam, Prayanakale. Yeah, so he's using these words. And we will see in the 8th chapter that Arjun will start asking questions around these particular terms. Okay, so this is where Arjun's questions are coming from in the 8th chapter. Okay, go ahead. Please read.
Persons acting in Krishna consciousness are never deviated from the path of entirely understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the transcendental association of Krishna consciousness, one can understand how the Supreme Lord is governing principle of the material manifestation and even of the demigods. Gradually, by such transcendental association, one becomes convinced of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and at the time of death, such a Krishna conscious person can never forget Krishna. Naturally, he is thus promoted to the planet of Supreme Lord, Golok Vrindavana. This seventh chapter particularly explains how one can become a fully Krishna conscious person. The beginning of Krishna consciousness is association of persons who are Krishna conscious. Such association is spiritual, puts one directly in touch with the Supreme Lord, and by his grace, one can understand Krishna to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, one can really understand the constitutional position of the living entity and how the living entity forgets Krishna and becomes entangled in the material activities. By gradual development of Krishna consciousness and good association, the living entity can understand that due to forgetfulness of Krishna, he has become condemned by laws of material nature. He can also understand that this human form of life is an opportunity to regain Krishna consciousness and that it should be fully utilized to causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord.
Thank you. So Prabhupada is summarizing that what really happened in the 7th chapter. Hold on. So 7th chapter. So he's saying that Krishna is explaining how can one become fully Krishna conscious. And right in the beginning, from the first verse, Krishna starts talking about it. The first verse is, please hear carefully. And then he talks about how in the association of pure devotees, all kind of people can actually become Krishna conscious. Right? Even those 4 who do not surrender unto him can become Krishna conscious if they decide to take advantage of the devotee association. Right? So Prabhupada is summarizing what really happened in the 7th chapter. Now he's going to give his conclusion that he who's actually elevated in Krishna consciousness does not care for the different processes. We see that Prabhupada is saying that many things are discussed about a man in distress, an inquisitive man, a man in want of material possessions, a man wanting liberation, things like that. But one who's actually elevated, a pure devotee, does not care for different processes. He simply directly engages himself in activities of Krishna consciousness and thereby factually attains his constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Lord Krishna. A pure devotee does not really care. His only desire and only purpose in life is to serve Krishna. That's all he wants. And that's actually our constitutional position. Jivara Sarupaya Krishnera Nityadas. To serve him. In such a situation, he takes pleasure in hearing and glorifying the Supreme Lord in pure devotional service. He is convinced that by his doing so, all his objectives will be fulfilled. This determined faith is called Dreda Vrata. What is that determined faith? That I am going to just serve the Lord. I'm not going to do anything else. My desire is just to render loving service to him. And Prabhupada says, and it is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga, transcendental loving service. And this is the verdict of all scriptures. Yeah? And the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is the substance of that conviction. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen for the 7th chapter. And before I share the 8th chapter, if anyone has any questions from this chapter, we can discuss quickly and then move on. Good. So now we can discuss the 8th chapter. Hold on, I'll just bring it up. Yes, Daya?
Mataji, yesterday the verse was that na that 10 process through which just I don't remember the purpose. This one, 7.15. The 10 process of reformatory ceremony as enjoined in the Manu Samriti, which is like religious principle, are meant for reviving God consciousness. What are those?
These are sanskars, 10 sanskars that are done, like Garbhadan sanskar, then, different sanskars when the child, in the 7th month of pregnancy, then when the child is born, Jati Karma sanskar. These are 10 different kinds of sanskar in the life of especially during Varnashram, these sanskars are performed to shape the consciousness. These sanskars actually shape the consciousness of a child.
In Krishna consciousness, it is performed.
Yes, it is performed. A lot of devotees, Prabhupada in many places says that when devotees are trying to have children, they must perform Garbhadhan Sanskar. They must perform Garbhadhan Sanskar. That is the process of inviting a devotee soul in the womb. So a devotee can have a devotee child. Okay? So these sanskars are performed by devotees also. So chapter 8, this chapter is called Attaining the Supreme. I'll just give you a breakup of how this chapter is organized and then we'll go forward. So first 4 verses, in first 4 verses, Arjun will ask his questions and Krishna will answer his questions, except for 1. 8 chapters, Arjun will ask 8 questions. This is how we can remember. And Krishna will answer 7 and 1 he'll answer throughout the chapter. 5 to 8 is Krishna will talk about remembering Krishna at the time of death. 9 to 13 is remembering Krishna by performing Yoga Mishra Bhakti. 14 to 16 is remembering Krishna by pure devotional service. 17 to 22 is material world versus the spiritual world. And 23 to 28 is supremacy of pure devotional service in attaining Krishna. This is how this chapter is organized. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Arjuna Vacha Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam Kim Karma Purushottama Adhibhutam Cha Kim Proktam Adidevam Kim Uchyate. See, he's talking about all those words that Krishna used: Adhyatma, Adibhutam, and Adidevam. Right? So now Arjun will start asking the questions. Yeah, somebody can read the translation and the highlighted portion in the purport.
Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are the fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me.
So
The
how many
Srimad
questions?
Bhagavatam.
Hold on. How many questions has Arjun asked so far?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 questions. Yeah, he's asked 5 questions. Okay, now read the purport.
The Srimad Bhagavatam explains the supreme absolute truth is known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. In addition, the living entity, the individual soul, is also called Brahman. Arjuna also inquires about Atma, which refers to body, soul, and mind. According to the Vedic dictionary, Atma refers to the mind, body, and sense also. Arjuna has addressed the Supreme Lord as Purushottama, Supreme Person, which means that he was putting these questions not simply to a friend, but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be the Supreme Authority, able to give definitive answers.
Thank you. So now Prabhupada is explaining that why is he asking these questions? Because he wants to make it very clear that when Krishna, when you're saying Brahman, what does it refer to? Does it refer to you? Does it refer to me? Does it refer to body? What does it refer to? And when it's when you're saying self, adhyatma, what does it refer to? Self means body, self means mind, what, or self means the soul? What does it refer to? Please tell me. So he's asking these 5 questions. Now in the second verse, he's going to ask 3 more. Adi yagya katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayanakale cha katham geyosi niyatatmabhi. Please read.
Who is the Lord of sacrifice, and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death?
Yeah, so now how many questions are here?
3.
3. Who is the Lord of sacrifice? How does he live in the body? And how can one remember you at the time of death? Okay?
3 here, 5.
5 there. So total 8. 8 chapter, 8 questions. That's how you remember. Okay? Now somebody can read the purport.
Lord of sacrifice may refer to either Indra or Vishnu. Vishnu is the chief of the primal demigods, including Brahma and Shiva, and Indra is the chief of the administrative demigods. Both Indra and Vishnu are worshipped by yajna performances. But here Arjuna asks, who is actually the Lord of Yajna, and how the Lord is residing within the body of living entity? Arjuna addresses the Lord as Madhusudana because Krishna once killed a demon named Madhu. Actually, these questions, which are of the nature of doubts, should not have arisen in the mind of Arjuna because Arjuna is Krishna conscious devotee. Therefore, these doubts are like demons. Addresses him as Madhusudana so that Krishna might kill the demonic doubts that arise in Arjuna's mind.
So we hold on. We see that in Prabhupada sometimes and sometimes our acharyas explain that Arjun addresses Krishna by different names. Sometimes he calls him Purushottama, sometimes he calls him Janardana, sometimes he calls him Govinda, sometimes he calls him Madhusudan. And there is a reason why he uses certain names. So here Prabhupada is explaining that he's thinking that Krishna killed this great demon called Madhu. So all these doubts who have come up in my mind are also so big as a demon. So by addressing Krishna as Madhusudan, he is actually inviting him that please, like you killed Madhu, demon, please kill these doubts in my mind. Which have arisen in my mind, please kill them. Okay, so now somebody read this green portion.
Now the word prayana kale in this verse is very significant because whatever we do in life will be tested at the time of death. Arjuna is very anxious on consciousness. What should be their position at the final moment? At the time of death, all the bodily functions are disrupted, and the mind is not in a proper condition. Thus, disturbed by the bodily situation, one may not be able to remember the Supreme Lord.
Thank you. So, last question that Arjun asks is about prayana kale. How can one remember you at the time of death? And Prabhupada is explaining that this is such an important question to ask because at the time of death, all the bodily functions, they get disrupted. The cough starts choking the windpipe, person is not able to breathe properly, and the mind is all agitated. So how can one remember you? So Prabhupada then quotes this beautiful verse from Maharaj Kulshekara. This is from Mukundamala Srot. And he's giving a purport of this verse in which he says that Krishna Tvadiya Pad Pankaja Panjaratam Advaiva me Vishatu Manas Rajahamsa Prana Prayana Samaya Kaf Vata Pittay Kantavarodhan Vidho Smaram Kutaste. That he's saying that right now I'm quite healthy, and if I die right now, I am right now able to focus on your lotus feet. So if I die right now, that would be the best, because my mind will go to your lotus feet. But if I die now, it's the perfect condition. But if I wait for my natural death to come, I don't know what will be at my state at that time. My bodily functions would all be disrupted, my throat would be choked up, and I don't know if I'll be able to remember you, if I'll be able to chant your name. So it's better that I die right now. So this is the prayer of King Kulashekar, because he realizes that at the time of death, it is very difficult for one to remember Krishna, because the mind and body are all disturbed. It's very difficult. So this question by Arjun is very important. So now Krishna will start speaking. Text 3. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Sabhavotyatmamam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavo Bhava Karo Visarga Karma Samgitaha. Somebody read the translation.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma or fruitive activities.
So Krishna has answered how many questions? 3 questions in this verse, right? So he's saying that who's Brahman? Brahman is the Jiva, the transcendental living entity. The Jiva is Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma. What is that eternal nature? The Swabhav of a Jiva is called Adhyatma. This Swabhav is actually acquired because of we have been in this material world for many, many lifetimes. And in every lifetime, we have collected certain impression. And that impression sticks to our mind and determines our current nature. So his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, or the self. So conditioned soul's eternal nature, conditioned nature is what? What is determined from past life impressions. But our eternal nature is what? To serve Krishna. That is our actual Swabhav, to serve Krishna. And then he says karma. What is karma? So karma is the journey of a jiva to heavenly planets and returning to earth and acquiring a human body. Yeah, this is actually what it means by karma. Karma means how the process by which one lands up in this material body. That is karma. So this is what Krishna is explaining. Now we can quickly read the purport.
Brahman is indestructible and eternally existing, and its constitution is not changed at any time. But beyond Brahman, there is Par-Brahman. Brahman refers to the living entity, and Par-Brahman refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The constitutional position to the living entity is different from the position he takes in the material world. In material consciousness, his nature is to try to be the lord of matter, but in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, his position is to serve the Supreme. When the living entity is in material consciousness, he has to take on various bodies in the material world, that is called karma, or varied creation by the force of material consciousness.
Thank you. So Prabhupada is explaining that our original Adhyatma means our eternal Swabhav is actually to serve Krishna. But in this conditioned state, in material consciousness, what do we try to do? We try to gratify our senses. We try to serve ourselves. So he's making that distinction. And then he's saying that the process of acquiring material body is karma, right? Because of which one actually ends up acquiring a material body. So in the Vedic literature, the living entity is called Jivatma or Brahman, but he is never called Parabrahma. The living entity, Jivatma, takes different positions. Sometimes he merges into the dark material nature and identifies himself with matter, and sometimes he identifies himself with a superior spiritual nature. Therefore, he is called the Supreme Lord's marginal energy. According to his identification with material or spiritual nature, he receives a material or spiritual body. Like, who does he identify with? If he's identifying with the material nature, material body. Identifying with the internal potency of the Lord, rendering devotional service, spiritual body. So in material nature, he may take a body from any of the 84 lakh species of life, but in spiritual nature, he has only one body. And what is that body? The spiritual body. In material nature, he is manifested sometimes as a man, demigod, animal, beast, bird, etc., according to his karma. To attain material heavenly planets and enjoy their facilities, he sometimes performs sacrifices. But when his merit is exhausted, he returns to earth again in the form of a man. This process is called karma. Coming back to earth and getting another material body is karma. Then he quotes from Chandogya Upanishad, and this is actually also known as the cycle of sacrifice. How does it really work? So Prabhupada is explaining that in the process of sacrifice, the living entity makes specific sacrifices to attain heavenly planets and consequently reaches them. So a living entity performs different kind of yagyas to do what? To reach heavenly planets. And he reaches there. When the merit of sacrifice is exhausted, the living entity descends to earth in the form of rain. How does it descend from the heavenly planets to earth? In the form of rain. In the form of rain. Then and then takes on the form of, and this rain falls where? On grains. So this jiva enters the grains now. Yeah, then takes on the form of grains, and the grains are eaten by man and transformed into semen, which impregnates a woman. And thus the living entity once again attains the human form to perform sacrifice and so repeat the same cycle. This cycle goes on and on. That's why it's called a cycle of sacrifice. In this way, the living entity perpetually comes and goes on the material path. The Krishna conscious person, however, avoids such sacrifices. He takes directly to Krishna consciousness and thereby prepares himself to return to Godhead. So a Krishna conscious person is not interested in doing any sacrifices to go to the heavenly planets. What does he do? He's just interested in serving Krishna and returning back to Godhead. He doesn't want to go up and down in this material world. Okay? Now, in the fourth verse, Krishna will start answering rest of the questions, except for the last one. Adibhutam sharo bhava purushascha adhi daivatam adhi yogyoham evatra deha dehe deha bhritam vara.
O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called Adhibhuta, the material manifestation, the universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and the moon, is called Adi Deva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as a super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adi Yagya, the Lord of sacrifice.
Yeah, so he's answered 4 questions here, right? One is that who's Adibhuta, material manifestation? What is Adi Deva, the universal form of the Lord? Where does who's the Adi Yagya? He says Paramatma is the Adi Yagya, and because I'm represented as the super soul. And where does he reside in the body? He resides in the heart. So he's answered 4 more questions in this. The last one he has not answered. Okay, so somebody can read the purport.
The physical nature is constantly changing. Material bodies generally pass through 6 stages. They are
Can't hear you.
They grow. They remain for some duration. Produce products. It is created at a certain point and will be annihilated at a certain point. The conception of the universal form of the Supreme Lord, which includes all the demigods and their different planets, is called the Devata, and present in the body. Along with the individual soul is the super soul, a plenary representation of the Lord Krishna. The super soul is called the Paramatma or Adi Yagya and is situated in the heart. The word Eva is particularly important in the context of this verse because by this word, the
Your voice is breaking. We can't hear you. Is it happening with everyone else that they can't hear her?
Atma is different from him. The super soul seated.
Somebody else can read because her voice is breaking.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yeah, please.
The word Eva is particularly important in the context of this verse because by this word the Lord stresses that the Paramatma is not different from him. The super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, seated beside him, the individual soul, is the witness of the individual soul's activities and is the source of the soul's various types of consciousness. The super soul gives the individual soul an opportunity to act freely and witness his activities. The functions of all these different manifestations of the Supreme Lord automatically becomes clarified for the pure Krishna conscious devotee engaged in transcendental service to the Lord. The gigantic universal form of the Lord called Adidevata is contemplated by the neophyte who cannot approach the Supreme Lord in his manifestation as super soul. The neophyte is advised to contemplate the universal form or Virat Purusha, whose legs are considered the lower planets, whose eyes are considered the sun and moon, and whose head is considered the upper planetary system.
Thank you. Prabhu, you have a question?
Yes, Mataji, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mataji, my question is from the previous verse, wherein the process of sacrifice has been explained. So it's been stated that the living entities, when the merit of sacrifice is exhausted, the living entities descend to earth in the form of rain. So, Mataji, I am aware that in the spiritual world, everything is conscious, right? Even the fire, the water. So, how come the rain is conscious when coming to the material world and it transforms into
The rain is not conscious.
sacrifice?
The soul travels through the medium of rain. From the heavenly planets to earth, the soul travels through the medium of rain. The rain is not conscious. The soul travels through that, through the medium of water in the rain. No?
Okay, so Mataji, in the previous verse, it's been stated that the consciousness is one of the symptom of soul, right?
Yeah.
So how come?
First of all, not every raindrop carries a soul. You know, some souls come through that, so every raindrop is not soul. But some of the souls who fall from the planets of demigods come to this earthly planet in the form of rain. They have to come some way, right? So this is the medium through which they come. And then they enter into grains, and then grains is eaten by a man, and this is how the process continues. Okay? Daya?
Mataji, here it is written like located in the heart. So heart of like in small animal, they don't have heart. It is talking about anatomical heart or something else.
Okay, I have a question for you. I'm going to counter question you. When there is a heart transplant, the soul goes from one body to another?
No, I have discussed this thing with Vimla Prasad Prabhuji. I can't getting it. What is like where the super soul is located?
No. So you tell me. Now that you have discussed this, give me the answer.
The same question he asked from me. Definitely not.
It doesn't? Why?
Because I don't know about this.
Yeah, because the reason is that it is said in the region of the heart, and soul is in a different dimension. Soul is not in the physical dimension. The anatomical heart is actually in a physical dimension, but soul is not in the physical dimension. So the soul, it does not go when the physical organ goes from one part to another. So even if a living entity does not have a heart, the soul can still be there. Super soul can still be there in that region. You know, because they have really nothing to do with the physical heart as such. It's just that it chooses to stay in that region.
Does subtle body has a heart?
You tell me, does subtle body have a heart? What is subtle body?
Mind, intelligence, and false
So
ego.
where is the heart there?
There is no any answer. Why it is written as it is in heart? What
It's
type
in
of
the
heart?
it's in the region of the heart. It is actually supported by the 6 kinds of air. The right?
It was
So
in
it is
previous chapter.
It's in the region of the heart. It is not in the physical heart. Because if the soul was residing in the physical heart transplant would be quite challenging. Right?
Okay.
Remember this. Next time if somebody asks you this question, you should remember the answer, okay? That there are different dimensions.
Different dimension and the region talking about.
Yeah, both. And different dimension. Actually, the main thing is different dimension altogether. One is spiritual and one is material. The dimensions are completely different. Okay? Why, Bhavi?
Manashi, as you said that soul falls in with the rain. So is it like sure that the soul will enter human body only? I mean, if a soul is
When the
falling
soul
from
first comes from the heavenly planet, it goes to a human body. It
human body
enters a
only,
human
no
body.
other.
No.
Thank you.
Okay? Yeah. Jyoti?
Mataji, I have a similar question with intelligence, like in the brain, like
Okay.
soul in the region of heart. So, intelligence, scientifically we tell it is in the brain. So,
You tell me. You have read Bhagavad Gita so far. So, what do you think? Where is the intelligence? Okay, let me ask you. What intelligence is part of which body?
it's a part of brain, like neurons.
Subtle body.
Subtle
Acha,
body.
subtle body. Acha,
Right?
yeah, in
Brain
Bhagavad
is
Gita.
part of which body?
Brain is anatomically.
No. You
Material
answer me
body.
in
Material body.
subtle, gross, or spiritual. You only have these
Material.
three options.
Okay.
So, what is brain part of?
Material body.
Gross body.
Gross body.
Intelligence is part of what? Subtle
Subtle
body.
body.
Intelligence uses the gross body to function, but intelligence is not dependent on the brain. It is the subtle body.
Okay.
Scientists may keep saying so many neurons, this, that, and okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Daya, you guys are preparing yourself for an extra class the way you're going. I don't have a problem, okay?
Manashi, one more question I have.
Yeah.
Manaji, in previous classes, we've been told that Paramatma resides in the heart of soul, right? And soul resides in our body. So Paramatma is not residing in our body, in this gross body.
Actually, Katha Upanishad, it comes that Paramatma and the Atma, they are both they're situated like two birds on a tree. Yeah, so they are residing side by side. So you can even say that, okay, Paramatma is situated in the heart of the soul, because we do say that Paramatma is sitting in the heart. So, he understands our desires. So desires are accompanied by the soul. The subtle body, desires are stored where? In the subtle body. And subtle body carries soul from one body to another. So we can say that, yeah. Okay, so Prabhupada is explaining these words that Krishna has used, that Adi Bhut is material manifestation and Adi Dev is the Lord and in his universal form. And then he says that universal form, for who are the people who are advised to actually think of the universal form or contemplate the universal form, are those neophytes who cannot conceive the transcendental form of the Lord. So they are advised that you focus on the universal form. We discussed this yesterday, right? And then he says that Adi Yagya, or the Lord of the sacrifice, is the Paramatma, and he resides in the heart, in the region of the heart. Yeah. So this is what Prabhupada is explaining. And now let's come to, now Krishna will start answering the rest of the question, and which is one, how to leave your body and how to remember Krishna at the time of death. So these verses are very, very important. So he says, Antakale chamam eva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati chamad bhavam yati nasti atra samshayaha. Somebody please read.
And whoever at the time of his life quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt.
Yeah. So what is he saying? At the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone. Remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So Prabhupada is saying that therefore anyone who's constantly Krishna conscious is also the purest of the pure. The word smaran, remembering, is important. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. If one wants to achieve success at the end of his life, the process of remembering Krishna is essential. Therefore, one should constantly, incessantly chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya has advised that one be as tolerant as a tree, Taror Iva Sahishnana. There may be so many impediments for a person who's chanting Hare Krishna. Yeah, a lot of people will say, why are you chanting? People may make fun of you, people may try to stop you. Nonetheless, tolerating all these impediments, one should continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, so that at the end of one's life, one can have the full benefit of Krishna consciousness. So what Prabhupada is essentially saying, that if we chant with attention, if we chant the holy name of the Lord, then it's likely that we'll be able to remember Krishna at the end moment. Yeah. And our thoughts and desire will determine our remembrance. What thoughts and what desires we have. If we are chanting, those thoughts and desires get purified. So the remembrance of Krishna is possible. Yeah. Otherwise, it is not possible. So very, very important. And then he continues, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam त्यजति अंतकलेवरम tam tam eveti konteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Please read.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail.
Purport.
The purpose of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. But it is not true that a person who thinks of something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is a point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? One's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. So, this life creates one's next life. If in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. That will help one be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. If one is transcendently absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendental, spiritual, not material. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life. Hare Krishna.
So we note that Prabhupada is actually mentioning the entire Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in these purports, because he wants us to be aware that how important it is to chant the holy name. The holy name is, with the chanting of holy name, it is possible to change from material body to spiritual body. Yeah, it is possible to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. And here in the purport, Prabhupada gives the example of Bharat Maharaj, that he was a great devotee. He was situated in bhava state, and yet due to attachment with a deer, he ended up taking two more lives, two more births, one as a deer and one as Jad Bharat, before he could go back to Godhead. So it's the remembrance at the last minute which will decide what kind of body we end up in. Yeah, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So Mataji, how is Krishna's nature different from Krishna's abode? Because here in this shloka or the previous shloka, it's been mentioned that me alone at once attain my nature. The one who quits body,
My
remembering
nature
him.
means Satchidanand body. That is Satchidanand body, spiritual body.
Okay.
That's
and
what
the spiritual abode is Golok Vrindavan, or the supreme planet, right?
Yeah, any spiritual planet where one has affinity for. Yeah. Okay, so I'm giving you people an assignment for next week. When we have our next class on Monday, I want you to come back with reasons as to why Bharat Maharaj fell, even though he was at Bhava. And I want you to come back with at least 4 reasons. Okay? All right. So let's continue. Then in 7th verse, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyascha mai arpita mano buddhir mam eva shyasis asamshaya. And before we go further, I'm going to point out those devotees who don't speak anything in the class. They'll be the first to answer that assignment. So don't think you can get away by not speaking in the class. I have noted who all speak regularly. They will speak last, but those who don't will be the first ones. Okay, go. Somebody read the translation.
Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt.
Purport.
This instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Lok, without a doubt.
So very important instruction, and like Prabhupada is saying that he gave this instruction that you fight and you remember me. Similarly, for all of us who are engaged in some activities in this material world, this question may arise many times. How do we really remember Krishna? How can we be Krishna conscious throughout? So Prabhupada is giving a very important key that if you chant with attention, then what will happen? Even when you are performing some mundane activity, in the back of your mind, that Hare Krishna mantra will keep going. And this, I'm sure all of you have experienced, especially the day after or the day of Nirjala Ekadashi, when people try to chant many rounds. And if you fall asleep and when you wake up, you think, the thought that comes to your mind is that maybe I was chanting Hare Krishna even in my sleep. Why does it happen? Because the consciousness becomes completely attuned to the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So similarly, if we chant very nicely, if we chant, even if we are just chanting 16 rounds, but if we chant very attentively, with a lot of attention, then what will happen? Throughout the day, it will help us to remain Krishna conscious. Yeah, and hearing about Krishna, reading about, so we should all have like a proper program. Prabhupada used to say that we should have a sandwich program. What is that sandwich program? Morning, very nice, intense sadhana, then go to work, do whatever you need to do, come back and end your day with some spiritual input. Either read Krishna book or read Bhagavad Gita, do something. So spiritual sandwich. And this helps us to remember Krishna and be aware, be in a consciousness of a devotee. A lot of time what happens? That we may look like a devotee, we may have a kanti, we may have everything. But when we deal with mundane people, we forget that we are devotees. And we should be acting in a certain manner. We forget that. So, but if we have the sandwich program, we'll always be able to remain in that consciousness. Okay? I want to cover one more verse before we end the day today. अभ्यास योग युक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना परमं पुरुषं दिव्यं यति पार्थानुचिन्तयन्.
He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me.
Purport. Read the entire purport. It's a short purport and very nice.
In this verse, Lord Krishna stresses the importance of remembering him. One's memory of Krishna is revived by chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna. By this practice of chanting and hearing the sound vibration of the Supreme Lord, one's ear, tongue, and mind are engaged. This mystic meditation is very easy to practice and it helps one attain the Supreme Lord. Purusham means enjoyer. Although living entities belong to the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord, they are in material contamination. They think themselves enjoyer, but they are not the supreme enjoyer. Here it is clearly stated that the supreme enjoyer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different manifestations and plenary expansions, and as Narayan, Vasudev, etc. The devotee can constantly think of the object of worship, the Supreme Lord, in any of his features, Narayan, Krishna, Rama, etc. By chanting Hare Krishna, this practice will purify him, and at the end of his life, due to his constant chanting, he will be transferred to the kingdom of God. Yoga practice is meditation on the supersoul within. Similarly, by chanting Hare Krishna, one fixes his mind always on the Supreme Lord. The mind is fickle, and therefore it is necessary to engage the mind by force, to force to think of Krishna. One example often given is that the caterpillar that thinks of becoming a butterfly and so is transformed into a butterfly in the same life. Similarly, if we constantly think of Krishna, it is certain that at the end of our lives we shall have the same bodily constitution as Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, very, very nice purport. And Prabhupada is giving such a beautiful analogy of a caterpillar. A caterpillar is always meditating, when will I become a butterfly? When will I become a butterfly? And just by that meditation, what happens? His body undergoes those changes whereby he turns into a butterfly. So Prabhupada is saying that similarly, when we are constantly thinking of Krishna, we are thinking, oh, I want to serve Krishna, I want to be with Krishna. We are constantly thinking of serving him, constantly thinking of being with him. What happens? This material body starts transforming into a spiritual body. This material body, while remaining in this material world, starts transforming into a spiritual body, just like a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. Yeah. So he's saying that actually, how to remember, the easiest way to remember Krishna is chanting of the Maha Mantra. Yeah. Chanting of the Maha Mantra. And constantly thinking, constantly chanting with attention, and also getting in the mood, because Maha Mantra is essentially what? Oh Krishna, oh energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service. Right? So trying to become a servant of Krishna, trying to get established in one's constitutional position. So Prabhupada is making it very clear that Krishna is also saying Abhyasa Yuktena. Abhyas Yukten means what? By practice. It will not happen automatically, and it will take time, and it will take energy. It is not going to happen automatically. Prabhupada is saying that we will have to engage the mind by force to think of Krishna. So one has to force the mind, one has to force oneself to think of Krishna. This is not going to happen automatically. Yeah, so Abhyas Yukten, Krishna himself is saying that it will take practice. So don't give up. Don't give up. Don't think, oh, I've been trying to chant nicely for 10 years, nothing's happening. So let me go on chanting badly. No. Every day we should make an endeavor to chant attentively. Every day. Every day. And when we do that every day, Krishna sees our intention and helps us. Okay, so we'll stop today. We'll stop here. And next Monday, then we'll start from the 9th verse of this chapter. Yes, Prabhu?
So Mataji, in this purport, the last line states that if we constantly think of Krishna, it is certain that at the end of our lives, we shall have the same bodily constitution as Krishna. So aren't our bodily constitution is same as of now before we practice Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, the soul is the same constitution, but soul is covered by material contamination. We are not really functioning as a soul, are we? No, we are functioning as a body. So when he's saying this, what he means is that the end of our life will have same bodily. That means the soul will be completely pure, in its pure state. It will be totally rid of the material contamination. We will be in our Sachidanand position. Okay?
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, everyone. So thank you for listening very attentively, and please remember to do the assignment. And as Krishna willing,
Mataji, can you repeat the
assignment was that why did Bharat Maharaj fall down? 4 reasons, despite being at the stage of bhava. Okay? So Krishna willing, we'll meet on Monday, coming Monday. Thank you very much. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Pranam Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna to all.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to all the devotees.
Hare Krishna.